There is a place on Earth where the sea does not rest. Sailors call it the Drake Passage. It is a gateway, a test, and a graveyard. To reach the pristine, silent continent of Antarctica, one must first pass through this violent corridor of water. It is a journey that strips away the comforts of the modern world, reminding every traveler of the raw power of nature. The Drake Passage has earned its fearsome reputation over centuries of maritime history. Its name is whispered with a mix of dread and respect in ports from Ushuaia to Cape Town. This is not just another stretch of ocean, it is a rite of passage for adventurers, a crucial path for scientists, and a place where the planet's immense energy is on full display for all to witness. The fear it inspires is primal and completely justified. Imagine a ship, no matter how large, being tossed about like a child's toy. Waves as tall as buildings rise from the deep, their crests whipped into a frenzy by winds that never seem to cease their relentless screaming. This is the reality of the Drake. The experience is often described as the Drake Shake, a term that barely captures the violent, unpredictable motion that can last for days. For those who brave its waters, the passage is a physical and mental battle. It is a place that demands humility and preparedness, for the ocean here gives no second chances and shows no mercy to the unprepared or the unlucky. The passage is more than just a geographic feature. It is a living, breathing entity. It separates the known world from the last great wilderness. Crossing it feels like leaving one reality and entering another. On one side lies the familiar green-tinged tip of South America. On the other lies the ethereal white and blue world of Antarctica. The transition is stark and profound. The journey through the churning chaos of the Drake prepares you for the profound silence and stillness of the frozen continent. It is a necessary trial, a crucible that ensures only the determined will reach the shores of the world's most remote landmass. For centuries, this stretch of water has been the ultimate test of a sailor's skill and courage. It has swallowed ships whole, leaving behind no trace but the stories told by the few who survived. Yet despite its dangers, humanity has never stopped trying to cross it. The allure of the unknown, the quest for scientific knowledge, and the simple, undeniable pull of adventure have driven people to face its fury, time and again. The Drake Passage stands as a powerful symbol of nature's untamed spirit and humanity's enduring desire to explore the very edges of our world, no matter how great the risk or how terrifying the journey. The Drake Passage is a vast channel of water located at the very bottom of the globe. It is the body of water that separates the southern tip of South America at Cape Horn from the South Shetland Islands of Antarctica. This gap is approximately 800 kilometers wide, making it the shortest crossing from any continent to Antarctica. Yet, its relatively short distance is deceptive. The passage acts as a massive confluence where two of the world's greatest oceans, the Atlantic and the Pacific, meet and clash. There is no other place on Earth where oceans can merge with such unrestricted force, creating a maelstrom of currents and weather systems that are legendary among mariners. Geographically, this passage is unique. It is a bottleneck where an immense volume of water is forced to flow. To the west lies the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, and to the east, the Atlantic. The water here is not simply moving from one ocean to another. It is part of a much larger, global system. The Drake Passage connects these oceans in a way that allows for a continuous, unimpeded flow of water around the entire Antarctic continent. This lack of any significant landmass to block the water's path is what makes the Drake Passage so fundamentally different from any other ocean route on the planet. This unique geography is the primary reason for its notoriously rough seas. The sheer scale of the passage is difficult to comprehend. It is not a narrow strait, but a wide, open expanse of angry sea. Its depth plunges to over 4,800 meters in places, creating a colossal volume for water to churn and swell. When storms brew here, and they almost always are, there is nothing to stop their energy from building. The winds can travel thousands of kilometers across the open ocean, gathering speed and power before they are funneled into the passage. This creates the perfect conditions for the monstrous waves that the Drake is famous for, waves that can easily reach heights of 12 meters or more, dwarfing even the largest modern ships. For sailors, its location is the definition of remote. Once a vessel enters the Drake Passage, it is truly on its own. The nearest land is hundreds of kilometers away, and rescue is often impossible. The weather can change in an instant, turning a manageable crossing into a life-threatening ordeal. The combination of its position at the convergence of two oceans, its great width and depth, and its location in the path of the world's strongest winds, makes the Drake Passage one of the most formidable maritime challenges. It is a place where the Earth's geography conspires to create a perfect storm, a liquid battlefield where nature always holds the upper hand. The Drake Passage did not always exist. For millions of years, South America and Antarctica were connected, part of the supercontinent Gondwana. This land bridge blocked the flow of water between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans in the south. The climate of the planet was vastly different then, and Antarctica itself was not the frozen wasteland we know today. It was a green continent, covered in forests and home to diverse wildlife. The formation of the Drake Passage was a slow but cataclysmic geological event that forever changed the face of our planet. It was a process driven by the immense power of plate tectonics, the gradual movement of the Earth's crust. Around 41 million years ago, the tectonic plates began to shift. South America started to drift northwards, slowly pulling away from the Antarctic peninsula. This process was not sudden. It was a geological separation that took millions of years to complete. As the gap widened, a shallow flow of water began to trickle through. But the truly transformative event occurred when the passage became deep and wide enough to allow for a significant ocean current to form. This moment marked the birth of the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, the most powerful ocean current on Earth, and it was this current that sealed Antarctica's frozen fate and defined the character of the Drake Passage. The creation of the Antarctic Circumpolar Current was a pivotal moment in Earth's climate history. With no land to obstruct its path, the current began to circle Antarctica endlessly, flowing from west to east. This massive river within the ocean acts as a thermal barrier. It isolates Antarctica from the warmer waters of the subtropics, preventing heat from the lower latitudes from reaching the southern continent. This isolation caused a dramatic drop in temperatures across Antarctica. Ice sheets began to form and grow, eventually covering the entire continent in a thick layer of ice. The green, forested land disappeared, replaced by the stark, frozen desert we see today. The Antarctic Circumpolar Current is the engine that drives the fury of the Drake Passage. It moves an astonishing volume of water, more than 100 times the flow of all the world's rivers combined. This powerful, deep current combined with the strong westerly winds, known as the furious 50s and screaming 60s, creates the chaotic sea conditions for which the passage is infamous. The current's relentless energy, squeezed through the 800-kilometer gap, generates complex eddies and massive swells. The geological opening of the Drake Passage, therefore, did not just create a new sea route, it unleashed a force of nature that reshaped the continent and gave birth to the world's wildest ocean. The dangers of the Drake Passage are numerous, and they are constant. It is a place where multiple natural forces converge to create a uniquely hostile environment for any vessel. The most famous of these dangers are the winds. The passage is located in the latitudes of the roaring 40s, furious 50s, and screaming 60s, names given by sailors to the powerful westerly winds that circle the globe in the southern hemisphere. Because there is almost no land to slow them down, these winds can reach speeds of over 100 kilometers per hour with terrifying regularity. They whip the surface of the ocean into a frenzy, making navigation a constant struggle against an invisible, powerful force. These ferocious winds give rise to the second great danger, the waves. The Drake Passage is renowned for having some of the largest and most powerful waves on the planet. With an average height of 6 to 8 meters, it is not uncommon for rogue waves to reach astounding heights of 15 meters or even more. These are not the gentle, rolling swells of other oceans. They are steep, chaotic, and unpredictable. A ship can find itself climbing the face of one massive wave, only to plunge violently into the trough that follows. This relentless motion, the Drake Shake, can cause severe seasickness, damage equipment, and test the structural integrity of even the most robustly built ships. Beneath the surface, another powerful force is at work, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current. As this immense current is funneled through the passage, it creates strong and unpredictable surface currents that can push a ship off course. Navigating through these swirling waters requires constant vigilance and correction. The current adds another layer of complexity to an already challenging journey, fighting the ship's progress and working in concert with the wind and waves to create a chaotic and disorienting environment. The sheer power of so much moving water is a reminder that the forces at play here are on a planetary scale, far beyond human control. Finally, there is the ever-present threat of ice. Icebergs, some as large as small islands, break off from Antarctica's ice shelves and are carried north by the currents, often drifting directly into the shipping lanes of the Drake Passage. These floating mountains of ice are notoriously difficult to detect, especially in stormy weather or fog. A collision with an iceberg, even a smaller one known as a growler, can be catastrophic, capable of tearing a hole in a ship's hull. The combination of hurricane-force winds, colossal waves, powerful currents, and the random deadly presence of ice makes the Drake Passage a place where danger comes from every direction, above, below, and all around. The history of the Drake Passage, it's written in the stories of the ships and sailors who were lost to its unforgiving waters. Long before it was a route for tourists and scientists, it stood as a barrier that claimed many of the early explorers. One of the first recorded disasters was that of HMS Wager, part of a British squadron sent to raid Spanish possessions in the Pacific back in 1741. After rounding Cape Horn in horrific weather, the Wager was separated from its fleet and wrecked on the desolate coast of what is now Chile. The story of its survivors, their mutiny, and their desperate journey to safety became a famous tale of human endurance and betrayal, highlighting the extreme isolation and danger of these latitudes. Decades later, in 1819, the Spanish warship San Telmo met its fate in the passage. Carrying 644 men, the ship was part of a squadron bound for Peru to quell a rebellion. The San Telmo was severely damaged in a violent storm while attempting to round Cape Horn and was last seen struggling against the waves. It disappeared without a trace, but wreckage later found on Livingston Island in the South Shetland suggests the ship was blown far south and wrecked on the shores of Antarctica. If this is true, the crew of the San Telmo may have been the very first humans to set foot on the continent, their discovery dying with them in the frozen wilderness. The age of heroic polar exploration brought new tragedies. In 1897, the Belgian Antarctic expedition, led by Adrien de Gerlache aboard the Belgica, became trapped in the sea ice of the Bellingshausen Sea after successfully navigating the passage. The crew was forced to endure the first ever winter in Antarctica, a physically and mentally grueling ordeal. They suffered from scurvy and madness in the unending darkness of the polar night. While the Belgica eventually broke free from the ice and returned home, its story served as a stark warning of the dangers that lay not just in the passage itself, but in the frozen world beyond it. Perhaps the most famous of all the wrecks associated with these waters is Sir Ernest Shackleton's ship, the Endurance. In 1915, after crossing the Drake Passage, the ship became trapped and was ultimately crushed by the pack ice of the Weddell Sea. While the ship itself was lost, the story of its crew's survival is one of the greatest in the annals of exploration. These historical disasters, the Wager, the San Telmo, the Belgica, and the Endurance, are not just tales of failure. They are powerful testaments to the extraordinary challenges of the Drake Passage and the Antarctic region, serving as solemn monuments to the brave souls who dared to face them, and often paid the ultimate price. Of all the tales of survival to emerge from the Southern Ocean, none is more legendary than that of Sir Ernest Shackleton and the crew of the Endurance. After their ship was crushed by the pack ice in the Weddell Sea in 1915, they were left stranded on the drifting ice, hundreds of miles from land. Their ordeal was just beginning. For months, they camped on the ice floes, drifting northward until the ice began to break up beneath them. They then took to their three small lifeboats, the James Caird, the Dudley Docker, and the Stancomb Wills, and navigated through treacherous, ice-choked waters to reach the barren and uninhabited Elephant Island. It was a remarkable feat of seamanship and endurance. Reaching Elephant Island was a victory, but it was not salvation. The island was a desolate rock, far from any shipping lanes, and there was no hope of rescue. Shackleton knew that their only chance of survival was for a small party to seek help. He made the fateful decision to take 5 of his men and attempt an impossible journey in the 22-foot lifeboat, the James Caird. Their destination was the whaling stations on South Georgia Island, over 1,300 kilometers away, across the most ferocious stretch of ocean in the world, the Drake Passage. It was a desperate gamble, a journey that many considered to be a suicide mission in such a small, open boat. For 16 days, Shackleton and his 5 companions battled the full fury of the Drake Passage. They were soaked to the bone by freezing spray, their hands and bodies numb with cold. Towering waves constantly threatened to swamp their tiny vessel, and they had to navigate by the sun and stars when the sky was briefly clear, using only a sextant and a chronometer. They survived a hurricane that brought a rogue wave so large that Shackleton later wrote he thought it was the sky clearing. Their survival in these conditions was a miracle of navigation, seamanship, and sheer unwavering will. Against all odds, they made landfall on the rugged, uncharted coast of South Georgia, but their ordeal was still not over. They had landed on the wrong side of the island. To reach the whaling station at Stromness, Shackleton and two of his men had to make the first ever crossing of the island's treacherous, glacier-covered interior, with no mountaineering equipment. 36 hours later, exhausted and frostbitten, they stumbled into the whaling station, unrecognizable figures from another world. Shackleton then organized the rescue of the three men, left on the other side of South Georgia, and after several attempts, finally returned to Elephant Island to save the 22 men he had left behind. Every single man from the Endurance expedition survived, a testament to Shackleton's incredible leadership and the impossible journey across the Drake Passage. Even with all our modern technology, advanced ship design, and sophisticated weather forecasting, the Drake Passage remains a place of profound risk. The forces of nature at play in this part of the world are so immense that they can overwhelm even the most prepared contemporary vessels. Today's ships are built with strengthened hulls, powerful engines, and stabilizers to mitigate the notorious Drake shake, but they are not invincible. The passage continues to serve as a humbling reminder that humanity's control over the ocean is an illusion. It only takes one rogue wave or one severe storm to turn a routine tourist cruise into a life-threatening emergency, proving that the dangers faced by early explorers are still very much present. A stark reminder of this enduring peril occurred in late 2022. The Viking Polaris, a modern state-of-the-art expedition cruise ship, was sailing through the Drake Passage on its way to Ushuaia, Argentina. The ship was carrying tourists who had just experienced the wonders of Antarctica. Suddenly, during a powerful storm, the vessel was struck by what was described as a rogue wave. This single massive wall of water slammed into the side of the ship, shattering several windows on a passenger deck. The force of the impact was devastating. Water flooded into cabins, and tragically, one passenger was killed and several others were injured by the imploding glass and debris. The Viking Polaris incident sent a shockwave through the polar tourism industry. It was a chilling confirmation that despite stabilizers and ice-strengthened hulls, no ship is completely safe from the ultimate power of the Drake Passage. The term rogue wave itself speaks to the unpredictability of these waters. These are waves that are more than twice the size of the surrounding waves, appearing unexpectedly from a different direction. They're the stuff of maritime nightmares, capable of inflicting serious damage on even the largest and most modern ships. The incident underscored the fact that safety in the Drake is not guaranteed. It is a constant negotiation with a powerful and unpredictable environment. This event serves as a crucial lesson for our time. As polar tourism grows, and more people seek to experience the beauty of Antarctica, it is easy to become complacent. We travel in relative comfort, shielded from the elements in climate-controlled ships with restaurants and lecture halls. But just outside the window, the same wild ocean that challenged Shackleton and sank the San Telmo rages on. The Viking Polaris incident was not an anomaly. It was a reminder of the baseline reality of the Drake Passage. It is, and always will be, a place that demands the utmost respect, and where the possibility of tragedy is never far away. Despite the well-known dangers, the Drake Passage is crossed more frequently today than at any other time in history. The reasons are twofold, and both are vital to our modern world. The first and most significant is science. The Drake Passage is not just a chaotic stretch of water. It is a critical component of the Earth's climate system. The Antarctic Circumpolar Current, which flows unimpeded through the passage, is like a massive global conveyor belt. It connects the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, distributing heat, salt, and nutrients around the planet. Scientists must cross the Drake to study this current, as understanding its behavior is essential for predicting global climate patterns. This powerful current plays a crucial role in regulating our planet's temperature. It acts as a mixer, pulling down warmer surface waters and bringing cold, nutrient-rich deep water up to the surface in a process called upwelling. This process not only supports a rich marine ecosystem, making these waters a feeding ground for whales, seals, and penguins, but it also helps the ocean absorb vast amounts of heat and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The Drake Passage is, in essence, one of the planet's lungs. By monitoring the water's temperature, salinity, and flow through the passage, scientists can measure the pulse of the planet and track the impacts of climate change in real time. The scientific missions that brave the Drake Passage are therefore not undertaken for the sake of adventure alone. They are essential for the survival of our planet. Research vessels equipped with advanced sensors and instruments regularly make the crossing, deploying buoys and taking measurements that feed into global climate models. This data helps us understand how quickly the oceans are warming, how ocean currents are changing, and what the future might hold for sea level rise. The wildness of the passage, which makes it so dangerous, is precisely what makes it so important. It is a natural laboratory where the Earth's vital signs can be monitored directly. In the end, the Drake Passage remains a place of profound duality. It is a place of immense danger, a barrier that has claimed lives and ships for centuries and continues to command respect. At the same time, it is a place of critical importance, a conduit for the lifeblood of our planet's climate system. The stories of triumph and tragedy, from Shackleton's heroic journey to the recent Viking Polaris incident, remind us of the risks. But the ongoing work of scientists reminds us of the necessity. We continue to cross this wild ocean route not just to see the wonders of Antarctica, but to better understand the world we all share. The Drake Passage is, and will remain, a testament to both nature's raw power and humanity's unyielding quest for knowledge.